Following this story, what do we know, John?
Sandra, good afternoon to you. I spoke with Rudy Giuliani a short time ago. He told me there's a 90% chance that the president's legal team will send its response about the parameters for a potential interview with the president to Robert Mueller and his team by later on today, maybe even the close of business. While Giuliani would not go into details of the counteroffer, he did tell Fox News it's not a refusal, but at the same time, it's not a completely unreasonable position. I can see a way in which they, this Mueller's team, may agree with it. Giuliani says the chances of Mueller accepting the offer depend on two things. First of all, how much they want an interview with the president, and B, the degree to which they are willing to say to themselves, this may be our last chance to get it. Giuliani acknowledged that Mueller could try to subpoena the president if an agreement for an interview can't be worked out. The president's attorneys have repeatedly stated that they will fight in court any attempt to subpoena President Trump. Giuliani added that they may be willing to allow the president to answer some questions that go to the issue of obstruction of justice if Mueller would give them a couple of sample questions that aren't red flags, things that don't look like he's trying to lay a trap. Last night on Hannity, the president's other attorney, Jay Sekulow, said the team is very reluctant to allow Mueller to ask questions about issues that go to obstruction of justice, actions the president took after taking office, issues that fall under Article 2 of the Constitution. Listen here.
Is the position of the legal team, and it's been pretty clear on this in the last couple of weeks, that our position is that there is not a constitutional basis to move an interview forward. And what I mean by that is the Article 2 power of the presidency is very clear, and the idea that you would have a series of questions involving the president's motives for particular actions as it relates to Article 2 power would frankly be inappropriate in our view, unconstitutional.
Giuliani told Fox News that even if Mueller's team does agree to the parameters that they will be sending back likely today, there is still a lot of talking to be had before the president sits down with Mueller or even answers any of his questions in writing. So a new development today, but we'll see where this goes. Sandra?
We will indeed. John Roberts, thank you.
Let's get some insight on all this now. Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz with me now. Sir, how are you? I see you're in the car there, but that's okay. I'd love to talk to you anytime and any way we can. Giuliani going to write a report today or tomorrow. I thought they were waiting on Mueller's team to write their report so that the president's team could see whether or not there was a crime involved in this. Where are we now, sir?
Well, I think the tactic is emerging and is fairly clear. The president wants to testify. His lawyers don't want him to testify. So the lawyers are going to set up a series of conditions, or put it in terms of The Godfather. They're going to make Mueller an offer he can't accept. And in the end, Mueller will say, look, I can't accept this offer, so we're going to subpoena you. The president will be able to say, look, I wanted to testify. It was Mueller who turned me down. I want to tell the American people what happened. And then there'll be a fight over the subpoena. And that fight will end up months from now as a draw. The president will win some issues. He won't be able to be questioned about why he fired Comey. He won't be able to be questioned about other issues governed by Article 2 of the Constitution, but he will be able to be asked about questions involving meetings in the Trump Tower before the election, involving his son. So in the end, it will end up postponing the report because either Mueller will have to say in the report the president wouldn't do it, and therefore you should infer guilt from that, or he'll have to wait until he resolves these issues in front of judges. So I think that's the strategy that seems to be emerging, and it seems like a clever stratety. In
Okay,
the end,
let me just try and clear this up. What you're saying, you're dividing the calendar in two, right? It's campaign up to Election Day. Anything after that is off limits because it's protected by the Constitution under Article 2, correct? That's what you're saying.
Well, not everything, but many things. He can't be asked about his motives, why he fired Comey, any more than a senator could be asked why he voted, or a judge could be asked why he issued a decision. The Constitution gives breathing room for the exercise of Article 2 powers of a president. But he could be asked, probably, about whether he knew about the meeting prior to being elected president in the Trump Tower. That seems that it's very hard to come up with a constitutional argument against that, although I'm sure his lawyers will try.
Okay, here's what I'm told. Giuliani is going to say, show us there's a crime. and show us that the crime you cannot gain information about said crime from any other source. In other words, you just can't come and interview the president any other day of the week because he's got other things to do, and that's what they're arguing, right?
That's a very smart thing to do, because first of all, as a guy who taught criminal law for 50 years, I don't see a crime at this point that Mueller can come up with. I don't think you can obstruct justice by exercising your Article 2 powers under the Constitution. And second, it's awfully hard to show that the president's testimony is needed. After all, Comey said in his book, you never call a witness unless you know exactly what he's going to say. And if you know exactly what he's going to say, then you don't need him as a witness except to spring a perjury trap on him. So I think Giuliani has very cleverly sprung a trap on those who would have sprung the perjury trap. And in the end, I think it's a smart tactic.
Okay, just to take it a step further here. If you were teaching law, this is the way it's explained to me. If you can't get the evidence from another person, then you come to us and say, well, you're the only witness. In other words, if we see a car crash, you and I would see a car crash, they can talk to me or they can talk to you, right?
Right. But the problem is this. You have already Cohen saying Trump knew about the meeting. Trump is saying, no, I didn't know about the meeting. So if Trump tells the truth, as he believes it, that he didn't know about the meeting, he's jumped into a perjury trap because there's another witness who the prosecutor will choose to believe that is saying the opposite. That's what Bill Clinton did. He walked into a perjury trap. More specifically, his lawyer walked him into a perjury trap, and he ended up being charged with perjury. I think that President Trump has learned the lesson of the bad representation that Bill Clinton had, and by Robert Bennett, not by his other lawyers. It was Bennett who walked him into the perjury trap, and is going to try to avoid that at all costs. But he wants to have his cake and eat it. He wants to be able to say, I have no fear. I want to testify, but it's Mueller who won't let me testify under the conditions that my lawyer has properly set out. Okay. That way he has his...
Let me just clear up one thing. John Roberts writes from the White House, Giuliani's not writing a report today. He's writing a response to a counteroffer for the parameters of the interview, and you understood that as you explained there. Final question here. That's right, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. On the Paul Manafort trial, your key witness is Rick Gates, right? So he's on the stand. You got a panel of jurists there, and he admits that he lies and he cheated and he stole, and you have to believe him as a witness. Is that what this case hinges on?
If that case hinged on only the credible testimony of Gates, prosecution would lose. They also have an accountant, but remember, she too was apparently given immunity because she committed crimes by knowingly filing, by her own testimony, a false tax return. Unless the prosecution has documents that corroborate the two live witnesses, I think there's a very weak case. Juries don't convict on the basis of the uncorroborated testimony of witnesses who had an incentive to sing and to compose. And these are witnesses who had every incentive not only to sing, that is to tell the truth, but to elaborate on the truth in order to get a better deal. So if the prosecution can come up with corroborating evidence, they have a good chance. If they can't, I think the probability of a conviction is weakened.
Wow. You say a weak case. Did I hear that correct over the Skype? A weak case against Manafort?
Only non-credible testimony of two witnesses, both of whom committed crimes, both of whom were given some kind of a deal. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for your time. Alan Dershowitz, hope to see you in person real soon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Fox News alert on that deadly earthquake in Indonesia. Authorities